If you've ever flinched in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and you don't want to flinch anymore, this is a video for you. The reason why you react or you flinch or you make a motion is because you're anticipating your opponent doing something that will affect you. So the way you stop flinching is by reframing what you're reacting to from your opponent's motion to your own internal posture, structure, and base. And this takes a lot of time and a lot of practice, but you need to do that and have a good break fall. And now I say have a good break fall because you need to be a little bit fearless when it comes to going out and trying your techniques. When you're doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and you're afraid of being taken down, you're gonna be a little bit more timid. You're gonna be a little bit more on the back pedal. You are not going to be as aggressive. And if your opponent flinches or moves for a technique, you're most likely gonna react, which can set them up another takedown and may actually lead to you hitting the mat even harder than if you didn't flinch. So if you have a good break fall, and the technique of a break fall involves, you can do it from standing, you can do it from being thrown, you can do it from all kinds of different angles. But essentially, you are going towards the mat and you're as relaxed as possible with every part of your body except for your hand/arm, which is smacking the mat. Sometimes you can do it with your legs, but most of the time you're using your arms to smack the mat to break your fall, to take some of the impact from your fall off of your essentially vital organs into your arm and hand. And if you're relaxed in your body and you're only stiff when you're hitting the mat and you're able to fall so your body doesn't hit the mat all at once, instead it kind of rolls down, you're going to have a much softer landing, and it's actually not going to hurt, especially if you're on some good quality mats. When I was a white belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, I was also a white belt in Judo. I spent so much time getting thrown. Every single day before class, we would practice our break falls, and every single day at class, we would practice getting thrown. And when we were sparring, we would practice, and I would get thrown because I was not that good, and I would learn to hit the mat. And over time, not only do you learn the technique, but your body becomes a little bit more resilient. And most of the time, when we're flinching, it's because we're afraid of that impact. And we think that if we flinch, we can avoid that impact. That may or may not be a conscious process. But if you have that solid foundation in break falls to where you're not afraid of hitting the mat, and it is going to be fine no matter what, you're not going to be as likely to flinch. Then the other thing you have to do is use your own structure to recognize when you're in danger. So this is just going to involve a lot of practicing, a lot of stand-up game. If you want to use the judo term, call it randori. So you're just going to do your takedowns, and if your posture starts to get compromised, like someone has a collar tie, you're not necessarily in danger until they pull you forward and set up a snap down, or until they start to shoot down and collect your hips. So what you have to do is learn to recognize those moments where you're starting to get off balanced, where maybe your hips are being lifted up. Maybe they are starting to shoot in for a takedown and you haven't quite sprawled back. If you learn to recognize those moments where internally your posture and structure and base are being compromised, where you're starting to feel a little bit off balance, where it's right before you're gonna get taken down, then you initiate your defense. And your defense most likely is gonna be a sprawl or a stiff arm or to rotate. There are a lot of specific situations you can do, and I'm not gonna get into the specific counters because it's impossible to cover all the counters. The point of what you need to do is to get your body to recognize when it's in danger. And if your body recognizes when it's in danger, you don't have to look at your opponent and think, oh, he's gonna shoot on me. You just know that it doesn't matter if he shoots on me, I'm gonna sprawl at the right time because you've done it enough. And if you have enough break falls under your belt, even if you mess this up, not gonna be that big of a deal. Now, this mostly pertains to standing, but the statement holds true for when you're on the ground. If you know you're in danger because your posture is getting compromised, then you react. If someone is starting to apply a choke but their grips are really weak, you don't necessarily have to flinch. Now, flinching is less of a big deal the less space you have. So as you get closer towards submissions and things get tighter, flinching is not as important as you get further away up into the standing position. But the concepts I talked about in this video can hold true for any position in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. As long as you know you're safe inside your own posture, structure, and base, you're going to be good. You don't have to worry about what your opponent's doing.